Hello, year 8. This is the last lesson in terms of solving equations, but you should make sure that you've done the first two, otherwise this is not going to make a lot of sense. Let's go! So for a starter, I'd like you to consider these 4 questions that are similar to what we did last lesson. I'd like you to try 4 out and then unpause the video and see if you got them right. I'll unpause the video in 3, 2, 1, and there we go. So the first 2 questions are fairly straightforward in the sense that you multiply out the brackets, you collect the x's on one side, the numbers on the other, and divide through. The last 2 questions just bring in what we were talking about yesterday, with that you can have a horrible fraction as an answer, and that's okay. If you find out at the end of question 7, for example, that you need to do 40 divided by 37, then you just write it as a fraction, 40 over 37. So just remember that as a way through those fiddly questions. Okay, so on to the main job for today. Okay, so there's 2 main tasks today, and this is one of them. This is an equation cross number, I think. It's like a crossword, but with numbers. You get the idea. And the general plan is that we're going to solve these equations, and we're going to put the answers into the gaps. Now, this is on the team, so you could print it off from there, or you could do this at the back of your book. I don't mind too much. I'm just going to do question 1 as an example. But if you think you know what you're doing, you could obviously go away and do that now. So for question 1, if I was solving that, I would expand the bracket. 4x plus 18 is 6. I would take away the 18. 4x is minus 12. I would divide by 4x is minus 3. And so if the answer to this one is minus 3, we put in at 1 across minus 3. That also means that the answer to 2 down should start with a 3. If you get a decimal, by the way, so if this ends up being, I don't know, 3.9, you would do 3.9 like that. The dot will take up a space as well. Okay, folks, have a go. When you're ready to see the answers, unpause, and I'll click across to them. Do it now, though. Okay, folks, there's your answers. Have a look through. Remember, you can, of course, check if answers are right by subbing them in, so you should have a general idea about whether you've done the right thing or not. And when you're ready, unpause the video again, and we'll look at the second task for today, a few examples. Okay, so the second thing we're going to have a look at today is forming some equations. And I'm just going to launch into the straight one, but this is basically, how do you solve algebra if the algebra isn't there already? So, on this first question, we're going to think of a number. Now, if we think of a number, we should generally call it something. Let's call it x. It says we're going to multiply that by 7 and add 2, and the answer is 86. And we want to use algebra to find what that number was. So we had our number. Again, this is an example, so copy it down, including the question. We multiplied it by 7. What you get if you times that by 7? You get 7x. Then we added 2, so 7x add 2. And the answer equals is 86. So we turn that wordy phrase into an equation. What's the number? Well, we need to do what we've been doing for the last few lessons, subtract 2 from each side, and divide by 7. And we'll get that the number we were thinking of should have been 12. Let's check, does that work? If we multiply it by 7, 84, add 2, 86, yeah, the answer is 86. So our number was 86. Okay, second example. Fiona is X years old, so they're telling you what X is in this question. Tom is 7 years older than that. So if Fiona is X, then Tom is X, add 7, 7 years older. Jenny is twice as old as Fiona. So if Fiona is X, and Jenny's twice as old, Jenny is 2X. Their ages add up to 51. We want to use algebra to find all their ages. So if we add the 3 ages together, if we add Fiona and Tom and Jenny, then we should get 51. So Fiona was X, Tom is X add 7, and Jenny was 2X, and they all add up to 51. Well, let's collect our terms. We've got an X, another 2X, that's a total of 4X. Add 7 is 51, and now that's the same as what we were just looking at. We're going to minus 7 and divide by 4. So that will give us 4x is 44, and so x is 11. Now we want all of their ages. So remember, Fiona was X, so we can say that Fiona is 11. Tom was 7 years older than that. Tom is 18. Jenny was twice as old as Fiona. Jenny's 22. Do those numbers add up to 51? Yeah, they do. So we're sorted. Lastly, third example. We've got a rectangular field. Let's draw that out. 8 meters longer than it is wide. Okay, so let's say that this top bit is the long side is obviously the long one. And we'll call the short side X, because that's something we don't know. And we tend to use algebra to represent things we don't know. And so the other side must be X plus 8, because it's 8 meters longer. We're told its perimeter is 64, so perimeter is all the way around the outside of that shape. So it's all 4 sides added together. We want to use algebra to find the size of the field. So, I filled in the wrong things there, shouldn't I? Yeah, it should be like that. X plus 8. So, all 4 sides added together equals 64. So let's add those sides up. That would be an X, and an X plus 8, and another X, and another X plus 8. And that would all equal 64. How many X's have we got there? We've got 4 of them. We've also got 16. And we've got ourselves to an equation that we can solve in the same way as before. 4x is 48, x equals 12. So we want to find the size of the rectangle. Well, if x was 12 and the other side is 12 meters longer, this rectangle is 12 meters by 20 meters. So there we go. That's a few examples of forming equations. So to finish off, what I'd like you to do is to try these 6 questions. Just going to label them up because they don't have numbers on them. And when you're ready, unpause the video and we'll see if you got the right answer. Remember, you must use algebra to do this. You can't do it by like trial and error or guessing or just knowing it. Okay, unpause when you're ready to see the answers in 3, 2. So for the first 2, we should get 12 is your original number, Michael's 19 and Jenny is 38. And there's the last 4. So Alan was 16, Barry was 6, Kevin was 32. TV's 140 quid. They have 20, 40 and 120 quid. And the field is 4,800 meters squared. Remember, you times the sides together for that. Okay, one last thing for you. So yeah, this is the last thing. There will be a little algebra test tomorrow. I want to see how well all this stuff's gone in. There's a homework, and the revision questions on that homework cover exactly what's going to be on the test. Okay folks, have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.